Studies reveal a curious truth. On average, men tend to fall in love faster than women. At first glance, this seems puzzling. Love is often portrayed as a universal experience, unaffected by gender. Yet the data tells another story. To understand why, we need to look at two powerful psychological forces that fuel this tendency, and one deeper solution that addresses both. The life of Vincent van Gogh, one of history's most brilliant yet tragic artists, illustrates these dynamics with striking clarity. Van Gogh and the obsession of limerence. Van Gogh's struggles with love began early. While living with his family in the Netherlands, he became intensely fixated on his cousin, Guy van Stricker. Although their interactions were minimal, Van Gogh's feelings grew uncontrollably. When he eventually proposed, she rejected him with the brutal words, "No, never, never." In desperation, Van Gogh held his hand over a candle flame, declaring he would only withdraw it if she said yes. Still, her answer remained no. What he experienced was not true love, but a psychological state called limerence. Coined by psychologist Dorothy Tenov in 1979, limerence describes an obsessive one-sided attraction that the brain mistakes for love. It often begins with simple daydreaming. You meet someone, imagine future scenarios, and trigger bursts of dopamine, the brain's pleasure chemical. The more you indulge, the more addictive it becomes. But dopamine spikes come at a cost. They suppress serotonin, the hormone that stabilizes mood and rational thought. Research shows that people in limerence often have serotonin levels as low as patients with obsessive-compulsive disorder. Logic fades and obsession grows. Add oxytocin, the bonding hormone released during fantasies, and you end up emotionally attached to someone who might barely know you exist. Tenov described 3 possible outcomes of limerence: reciprocation, rare; transference, shifting the obsession to someone new; or starvation, finally letting go. To escape, one must reset brain chemistry and habits. The book Atomic Habits suggests practical steps. Avoid triggers like romantic media. Replace obsessive thoughts with new mental habits. Spend time with others instead of isolating. Reward progress and shift identity by asking, "Do I want to be the person who endlessly fantasizes?" These actions help starve limerence until it fades. The halo effect, falling for the illusion. Unfortunately, limerence wasn't Van Gogh's only trap. A year after Key's rejection, he fell for another woman, Sienne Hornick, a destitute sex worker who was pregnant and caring for a child. Van Gogh provided her shelter, money, and even sought marriage. His devotion was overwhelming, yet destructive. His family disapproved, and Sienne herself was eventually broken by the strain, tragically ending her life in despair. Why did Van Gogh overlook all the warning signs? The answer lies in the halo effect, a cognitive bias where one positive trait blinds us to flaws. In Sienne's case, her gratitude for Van Gogh's kindness became a glowing quality that overshadowed everything else. This bias has evolutionary roots. For early humans, finding a mate was essential to survival. To prevent hesitation, the brain evolved to idealize potential partners, making them seem perfect. The halo effect, however, can be dismantled with deliberate reflection. The philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson recommended self-examination through journaling. Writing down the qualities you want in a partner, then comparing them honestly to the reality, helps break the illusion of perfection. Over time, the idealized glow fades and clarity emerges. The root cause: low self-esteem. Though limerence and the halo effect seem different, they share a deeper cause: low self-esteem. Studies show that people with low self-worth are more likely to mistake small acts of kindness for signs of deep affection. The brain, desperate for validation, latches onto any source of perceived acceptance. The French writer Stendhal called this vain love, a desire not born of genuine connection, but of craving approval. It explains why some fall in love quickly. They are not truly in love with the person, but with the feeling of being wanted. How can one overcome this vulnerability? There are two paths. The internal route involves cultivating self-love, setting achievable goals, resisting unhealthy comparisons, and building resilience. These strategies are valuable but often slow. The external route can be more immediate, developing skills, pursuing passions, and surrounding oneself with people who believe in you. External validation, when paired with genuine achievement, stabilizes self-esteem and reduces desperation for romantic affirmation. Van Gogh's redemption through art. For Van Gogh, external validation came tragically late. During his lifetime, he sold only one painting. Yet his sister-in-law, Jo Bonger, believed in his work after his death. She tirelessly preserved and promoted his art until the world recognized his genius. Today, Van Gogh is celebrated as one of history's greatest painters, though he never lived to experience that acceptance. His story carries a lesson. Van Gogh poured all his longing, passion, and turmoil into his art. That devotion transformed personal suffering into timeless beauty. In the same way, channeling energy into meaningful pursuits, whether art, craft, or personal growth, can fill the void that misplaced love leaves behind. Building a healthier love. So why do men fall in love faster? Because limerence and the halo effect, fueled by low self-esteem, make the brain rush headlong into infatuation. But there is a way out. By breaking obsessive habits, reflecting honestly, and building self-worth through purpose and achievement, one can create a healthier foundation for love. Love is not about grasping desperately for validation or being blinded by illusions. It is about meeting another person from a place of strength and wholeness. Van Gogh's life shows us both the dangers of falling too fast and the redemptive power of pouring our hearts into what truly matters.